In Dragon Ball Z, the conflict with Frieza was perhaps the most challenging that Goku and his friends had ever encountered. This encounter pushed Goku to the point of rage and desperation, which served as the catalyst to unlock the legendary transformation of the Saiyan race, Super Saiyan. With this new form, Goku is able to muster the overwhelming power necessary to defeat Frieza. But what if Goku was not the one to receive this transformation on Namek? What if instead his son Gohan went Super Saiyan? Would he make any difference, and would he be able to defeat Frieza? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss that. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and before the video begins, I just want to give a shout out to World King Kanji for making this awesome thumbnail of Gohan becoming a Super Saiyan on Namek. There's a link to his YouTube channel down below in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Now, ever since I started doing YouTube, this has been one of the biggest questions I've been continually asked. So what would happen if Gohan did in fact become a Super Saiyan on Namek? Well, this question is really a matter of timing and placement, as when Gohan transforms would really be crucial to the outcome of this what-if scenario. But when exactly would Gohan be able to tap into this legendary transformation? Well, there's a few possibilities. The first time would be when Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta faced off with the Ginyu Force, or more specifically Recoome. As Gohan stands there and watches Vegeta and Krillin decimated before his eyes, what if in that moment of desperation and rage, Gohan transforms into a Super Saiyan? Now, according to the Super Exciting Guide, the Super Saiyan transformation is an increase of 50 times the base form. That is an increase of strength, speed, durability, and ki output. So to use an in-universe example, Goku had a power level of 3 million when he began his fight against Frieza. When he became a Super Saiyan, his power increased by 50 times, giving him a power level of 150 million. Now, according to Daizenshu 7, Gohan at the time of his battle with Recoome had a power level of 14,000. And using the anime version, he reached 20,000 as he was charging his Masenko. But going by the Daizenshu number, if Gohan transformed into a Super Saiyan at this point, his power level would become 700,000. This is a power level vastly surpassing Recoome's power, as well as the members of the Ginyu Force, including Captain Ginyu. In fact, this would also surpass the power of Frieza's first form. Thus, Gohan would basically be able to bulldoze everyone up until he faced Frieza. However, as we know, Frieza had 4 forms at this point in the story. 3 of these forms served as a way to suppress his overwhelming full power, and the form that he was introduced in was actually his most suppressed at a power level of 530,000. With Gohan's power level of 700,000, he would have a temporary advantage. This wouldn't last long, however, as if Frieza transforms into his second form, his over 1 million power level would be too much for Gohan. However, if we move the point of Gohan's transformation further along in the timeline, until after Frieza is already in his second form, then this becomes a very different situation. This is because after his fight against Recoome, where Gohan was beaten to near death, he received a Zenkai boost or near-death power-up. This brought Gohan's power level all the way up to 200,000. But then there's also the matter of Gohan's hidden power. A big recurring theme of Dragon Ball Z was that beneath Gohan's frightened, untrained exterior was an incredible power which would often surpass those around him. We saw this during Goku and Piccolo's fight against Raditz, we saw this as Gohan faced off against Nappa, and most notably we saw this against Cell. However, this hidden power was very much a factor during the conflict on Namek, and we saw this in action shortly after Frieza's first transformation, as when Frieza attacks and nearly kills Krillin by turning him into a human shish kebab, this makes Gohan erupt with an uncontrollable rage. This surge in power, known as a rage boost, allowed Gohan to briefly overpower Frieza's second form. So this would imply that Gohan's enraged power here was greater than 1 million. Using the 50 times multiplier, that would mean that Super Saiyan Gohan at this point would have a power level of around 10 million, and if he kept the rage boost, it would place him at around 50 million. Now, I tend to think that Gohan would automatically be given a rage boost here due to the nature of the form. He also wouldn't be transforming under his father's guidance and taught how to control it after all, so he'd probably give in to his rage just like Goku did. Once transformed, this heightened level of power would totally decimate Frieza in not only his second but third forms. If Gohan were to act fast, he could possibly even defeat Frieza then and there, and it would be an even bigger one-sided stomp than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan versus Perfect Cell. I'm sure that even Neferpito and Sensui would have to force themselves to avert their eyes. However, if Frieza seizes the opportunity to transform into his final form, the tables would once again turn, as even 50% Frieza would prove too much for Gohan. This brings us to the last opportunity to where I could foresee Gohan becoming a Super Saiyan on Namek, and that is when Frieza has transformed into his third form. This is due to the fact that Gohan received yet another Zenkai after he was beaten down by second form Frieza and healed by Dende. As we saw in the original story, upon witnessing his master Piccolo being mercilessly attacked by Frieza, Gohan received yet another rage boost. This boost was enough to overpower Frieza with a huge blast, and although Frieza was able to deflect the blast, it seemed to take all of his strength just to do so. Thus, it would seem that an enraged Gohan would be on par with this form. Now the question is, how strong exactly is third form Frieza? Well, this comes down to speculation on my part, but I typically like to think that Frieza's power doubles as he regresses through each of his weaker forms. So his first form has a power level of 530,000. His second form is stated to have a power level greater than 1 million. And if it's double the prior form, it would be a power level of 1,060,000, which lines up with what Frieza says. Using this rule and applying it to the next form, that would place Frieza's third form at a power level of 2,120,000. So if we say that Gohan's enraged power level would be the same in this scenario, then multiplying that by 50, it would give Super Saiyan Gohan a power level of 106 million. Now this level of power would once again stomp third form Frieza. It could even do well in a battle against final form Frieza, but unfortunately for the young Saiyan, Frieza's full power level is 120 million. This would be enough to eclipse Gohan's full power even with his rage boost, so based entirely on the number, this fight would end in his defeat. There are, however, two big factors that could come into play in this scenario. The first of these is that Frieza would require an uninterrupted period of time to power up to his 100% form. In the original story, Goku allowed Frieza to power up because he wanted to see what he could really do, and totally crush him at his strongest. But would Gohan also allow this to happen? Would his heart also be filled with the unbridled rage of the Super Saiyan? Well, it's entirely possible, especially given what happened against Cell. Now, if that does happen, the second factor comes into play, which is that Frieza cannot maintain his 100% power for very long. Much like the Super Saiyan 3 transformation, Frieza's 100% quickly saps his stamina. As we saw during the fight against Goku, as the fight dragged on, Frieza's power continued to decline. Eventually, it reached the point to where he could no longer even prove a challenge to Goku. So would Gohan also be able to outlast this power difference and defeat Frieza? Goku did this when he was overpowered in Resurrection F, so it's certainly within the realm of possibility. And as we know, Goku vs 100% Frieza infamously lasted less than 5 minutes in universe, even if it was closer to 4 hours in the anime, which is due to some extreme cinematic timing that would make even the Chimera Ant arc blush. So Gohan wouldn't really need to hold out too long. Regardless, if Frieza does away with his nasty habit of dragging out fights and goes for the kill right away, Gohan would likely be done for. So ultimately, as for the question of what if Gohan became a Super Saiyan on Namek, it would definitely change some things in the story. Depending upon the timing of this transformation, he could push Frieza to use further forms, or even his full power. But in most examples, Gohan transforming simply wouldn't make him powerful enough to defeat Frieza. As I've said in previous videos, Frieza's full power was ridiculously higher than everyone else who came before him. It was so big, in fact, that the only way he could be overcome was by giving Goku the mother of all Zenkais and a legendary transformation on top of it. Now, there are some scenarios in which Gohan could win, but they all assume he'll act quickly, definitively, and in a way that most Dragon Ball characters never act in a fight. Well, except maybe future Trunks, if only he was around in this arc. So ultimately, Gohan might be able to wear Frieza down, but it's unlikely that he'd be able to win in the end. His base power would simply never be in a position where the 50 times multiplier would let him surpass Frieza at full power, or not long enough to where he could achieve victory. Frieza was a character set up to be so strong that only the main protagonist with the biggest power-ups possible could stop him. And Goku's base power was so great in this arc that even a hypothetical Super Saiyan Gohan or Vegeta couldn't touch him once he transformed. At least not until the next arc anyway. Frieza was really doomed to suffer his first loss at Goku's hands. But even if Gohan lost in the end, being a Super Saiyan at 5 years old is still pretty impressive. And it would still make a lot more sense than what happened with another group of Saiyans in Dragon Ball Super. So what do you guys think about this scenario? What would happen if Gohan became a Super Saiyan on Namek? Do you think he'd actually overcome Frieza? And if so, what do you think would happen after this point in the story? Let me know down below. And if you're new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. And if you like this video, then make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.